I'm finally back. Welcome to my podcast. It's been quite a while since I've done one. The last time, I think it is like half a year or in May, but life happens for me as for everybody else. And yeah, well, it's time finally here. And last time I did like a really long podcast, and this time around I think I'm gonna see if I can make it a bit shorter. So but already now my agenda is quite full, so we'll see. I might just cut this episode in two halves, so we'll see what happens. Sorry about my English this morning. I'm going to walk through my whips. I didn't finish a whole lot, but some I did. And then I have plans on drawing the giveaway that I was announcing both in the last podcast and the podcast before. So stay tuned for that at least. And then I have thought about talking a bit about some different things. I have some personal stuff mostly, so, but also some other knitting relevance things. But let's see. So let's just jump right into it. Did I mention my name is Merete? I don't know. But yeah, I got some new viewers, not a lot new viewers from the last time, but welcome to my podcast. And this podcast is about my creativity and colors and inspirations, and if I can inspire you, that would be great. So I don't talk a lot about different issues going on, because this is just going to be a fun knitting time with creativity. So there's this podcaster who's put in a new word for what you're wearing that she calls potterwear, and it's really a fun word, I think. So I'm going to use that today too and see if I can spread the word to other podcasters around the world. But today's potterwear is my Everdream top that turned into a sweater. So I'm just gonna stand up so you can see it. It's very cropped, and then I added some sleeves, actually balloon sleeves, but I started by knitting the pattern down on the sleeves, and then I just let it flow out in this alpaca I was using for the sleeves. And first of all, this sweater, I have been looking at this design for a long time and wanted to knit it a long time. So you've seen me talk about it in previous podcasts. So I finally got around to it, and it hasn't been the easiest sweater for me to knit anyway. It started out really well. I had decided on the needles to fit the gauge, and then I wanted to change needles when the color work began to a larger needle. But when I changed to a larger needle, this section here didn't look pretty enough. So I decided to go with the same needle size I began with for the whole work, and it looked a lot prettier, but it also got a little smaller in the side, but it still fits me really well. It's not like it's too small, but then I don't really know what then happened, because I ran out of yarn really quickly. And it might have been because I didn't go up a needle size. It would have lasted a bit longer. So I started to measure a lot when I got around here. So and also not measure but weigh my yarn a lot, because this part up here, the blue yarn is an alpaca, and it says in the pattern to use mohair, but I used alpaca because to me alpaca is as nice as mohair, and it makes it a bit more fluffy. It's Strops alpaca that I've become really fond of. But because you knit all the time with 2 strands of the fingering weight and 1 strand of the alpaca, the fabric to me got really thick, and I was like, I'm not gonna use this as a summer top with short sleeves, and I don't use, I have another sweater I knitted with short sleeves where I could wear a long sleeved t-shirt underneath, but I don't wear that a lot, so I kind of quickly found out that I wanted longer sleeves for this sweater, for like a winter sweater. So that's why I started weighing the yarn a lot, because I was trying to figure out if I could manage to make the yarn last for the sleeves as well. But when I got to the bottom here, I actually used all the dark purple. I didn't have much left when I did the bind off here, and it's very cropped. I would have liked it to be like just a couple of centimeters more. So then I was kind of in a doubt about what to do with the sleeves, but I had a lot left of the alpaca. So I decided just to improvise the sleeves with the alpaca. So I just knitted the pattern down here with the sleeve, as I started saying, and then I faded it out in the blue alpaca, and also did increases here, like in the edge here. I did increases like 6 times or 6 rows. I did increases in each of these 3 parts here, and then I changed to a larger needle size when I got to the tip of this color here, and then it just ended up as a bubble sleeve. And then here on the cuffs, it's quite hard to see, but I actually did the same, where I did a little bit of a triangle here with the yarns of a color work before knitting the rib, and then I did oops, got something there. I did Italian cast off on both the cuffs and the bottom here, which I think looks really nice. So when I was done, I wasn't really satisfied, say it at the least, and I've tried to sell it to my daughters, but they weren't really interested. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna give it a try. And then I had this dress in this color that I was wearing it with, and I was really sold. I don't know, I turned from not liking it at all to I love it. It's like one of my favorite sweaters right now. So yes, I'm really satisfied with it now. But with most of my knitwear, I don't really coordinate how it works with my my clothes that I own. So I only have this denim shirt and a dress that I think it works with. So I don't wear it as much as I would like to, but I'm really happy with it now. And yeah, this is how this one turned out. I still need to put some pictures on Instagram of the whole sweater, but I'll get there. Okay, so what else? Yes, that was today's putter wear. Then I finished the painting brick sweater, and that was the test knit I was talking about in the last podcast that I was working on. And this is the painting brick sweater that I was doing for my husband. It's a dark blue as the main color, and then there are 6 CC colors, just repeated. I did a size medium. My husband is really slim, and I wanted it to be a bit fitted, but he is also very tall, so I had to knit the sleeves longer and the body longer than the pattern said. And also my comment for the sleeves for Steven was that I felt that the increases were too fast in the beginning. So when I started knitting this sweater, the increases ended like here. So my husband tried it on, and it was like really tight here before his elbow. And I'm not even sure I had finished yes, I think I had finished all the increases by then, but we just saw this doesn't look good on him. So I discussed this with Steven, and he made alternative sleeves options. I think there are actually 3 sleeve options, one that is very slim, and one that is medium, and one that is wide, like this one actually. But this one fits him very well, and he's so happy about it. And the story behind me wanting to knit this for my husband is that when we first met, he was wearing a brand called Tito Pepe or something like that. Pepe Tito, something like that. It was a very colorful brand, and he wore sweaters and t-shirts. And at that time I didn't like those colors, so I was kind of trying to make him wear something else, and I regret that a lot. So when I had the option to knit a colorful sweater for him, I had to do it, like a bandage on the wound, you might say. So, and he's very happy about it. Yes, I don't know if I have much more to say about the sweater, except that I wrote on Instagram that I had an injury on my hands, and I think actually it happened when I knitted this sweater. Not that it's the sweater's fault, but at that time I was knitting like a lot and trying to fit deadlines and trying to knit all the things that I really wanted to knit. So I hurt my hands, and over the summer I've been struggling with being able to knit again. So this was the last piece that I knitted before my hands broke down, if you might say so. And there's a lot of purl stitches in this one, and I don't work very well with purl stitches, at least not now that my hands are hurting. So I'm being very careful about what projects I choose now. But it's a really gorgeous design, and I've seen some amazing sweaters out there. I even saw one that was knitted in one color. It was like a brown squirrel color, chocolate brown something, and both the main color and the CC color was the same, and that just looks amazing. So yes, it's a fun sweater. Just a moment. Yes, it got way too hot, so just a quick change. Okay, so the next finished object is it's called the Pilton Summer Top. I found the design on Ravelry, but the pattern were no longer for sale. So I managed to decode the pattern, you might say, from a picture I found, and then I just improvised for the rest. But it starts in the middle, and worked out as a star or a flower actually. And then when you start doing decreases here, you make this mesh part over between the flower leaves. And then when you're done, you knit like these garter rows all the way around. It's got like these 6 edges, and then I knitted a section here that it didn't look like that in the pattern, but I'm so tall that if I don't put a bit on my shoulders here, it would sit up here like in my neckline, and you can see my belly button is here, so it wouldn't actually get very far down. It just doesn't look good, so I added a bit of shoulders to it, and in the pattern there were added a bit of length to it as well. And then because it's like a 6 side square kind of, it has this like foldings that occur here in the front. I kind of like that a lot. It's a bit warm actually to wear as a summer top, but on a cool summer it's really nice, and I have been wearing it. And what happened is that I got really fascinated with this flower pattern, and I actually started knitting on a little sleeve here, also in the flower pattern. I will put a picture in here so you can see the shoulder, and I asked out on Instagram what people thought, if I should keep it or not, and they were like, doesn't work on that top, but it's really cute. So I have kept the instructions, I wrote them down, so I might put them on another something. I actually have a design in mind, so I might do a design where I put those sleeves on. But the flower pattern inspired me to do a scrunchie. So I did this scrunchie also in this flower pattern, where you do, it's kind of different from other scrunchies that are knitted as a tube and then sewn together with a elastic band inside. This one is more knitted in the round, where you do increases and then decreases, and that shapes these really cute, yeah, I don't know what this is in English. And then there are the decreases on the back side, and then it's sewn together. And I have promised a pattern, and I think actually there will be a pattern, but yeah, I'll talk about my design thoughts later. But this is just knit with a 5mm needle, which in US size is size 8, and with 2 strands of fingering weight yarns held together. So really easy, really quick project, and really fun too. And then I am in the beginning of, or ending of, how you might say it. I was knitting on the Kyma sweater design by King Fibers, and my last pictures of the sweater was almost done, but it looked awful. I mean, that was awful. And you can see a picture here of the back side of it. My husband and my kids were like, you have granny arms and looks really like everything is flubbering under my arms, and it looked terrible. and people was asking me what happened, what did you do? And I was like, what did I do? And the only thing that I did that wasn't where I didn't follow the pattern was that I used drops brushed alpaca again instead of mohair. And I think just the it's this yarn, it's thicker than mohair, and I think that might just be the reason that it's just have a lot more body to it. And when I realized that was the problem, I was like, okay, I had spent so much time, I had been looking forward to this project, and I just if I was going to unravel the whole orange pink part with the alpaca, then I was almost unraveling the whole project. I love the yellow yarn and wanted actually just to use it for something else. So this weekend it happened. I unraveled the whole thing and dropped the whole project. And it's kind of sad because I like the design actually a lot, and there are some really cool versions out there knitted as well. And it feels like a huge failure to me that I wasn't able to do this one. But on the other hand, I just don't want to have a sweater where my husband said, if you wear that, I won't go with you anywhere. And it's like, okay, that's not a compliment. You don't want to, like, okay, so yeah. And another thing is that I usually don't talk negative about patterns and designers, but this pattern was really awful written, at least in my perspective. I mean, it made me feel like I was a knitter that didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I've been knitting so much the last 2.5 years, and my self-esteem was just falling to the ground. That's not how you're supposed to feel as a knitter. You're supposed to feel like this is a nice project, I like this, and it makes me feel good, and I'm excited for the end result. And this pattern just didn't do that for me. It's been a long time since I've dealt with a pattern like that, and it's like little things that could be improved just by saying, like, when you have done this increase row, you have this many stitches. Or there was a place where they used an asterisk sign, this star sign, instead of an X for telling that it was times. So it was saying I think it said knit 2 together, star, and then a whole lot different numbers out there in terms of what size you were knitting. So like 3, 5, and I was like, what is it they are trying to tell me? A star to me is like where you repeat a pattern, and I just couldn't get it, and I was so angry. And it's like, it really can't be true that I can't figure this out. So I was reading this line like 10 times, like, this star doesn't mean repeat. It must mean something else. And that's when I found out that it was trying to make it as a multiply sign. But I heard other people saying that was a really easy pattern, and some parts are also well written, but there are also some parts that are totally misleading. So I'm not even sure that when I had my end result, I actually knitted right. So that it doesn't even have to be the alpaca that was wrong. It can also be just because I didn't do what I was supposed to do. And the worst part of it all is that I was talking on Instagram with another knitter who also had trouble with it, and I was trying to help her out of my understanding of the pattern, and she was like, I've written to Kingfire, but don't answer. And she finally reached someone, a mail, where she could get reach of the designer, and she was having responses then. So that's at least good. So I don't know. I hope there will be an update for the pattern once, because the design is amazing. I mean, this design should be knitted. It's also a really fun construction. So It's sad if it's people don't want to knit it because it's not an understandable pattern. Yeah, so that's my words for that. So, but I wanted to use the yarn, so I started another design, and actually I started those a kind of flower sleeve on this one, and I can't really show you this much because I haven't gone this far, but this is how far I am. And here you can see I'm working on this flower sleeve, and that's about all I'm gonna say about this right now, because sometimes I talk a whole lot about my designs, and then it just end up being unraveled, or I never get any further. So that's about it for this one. Then what else? Let's see here. Yes, and then I've fallen into the socks knitting. I've been following some different Danish podcasters, and they knit socks, and they knit socks, and they knit socks, and at one time I'm like, okay, I'm inspired now, so let's hit me with those socks. But I don't want to knit them from top down. I want to knit them from toe up, you might say. So I found this free pattern on Ravelry. It's called the bunny sock, and it's knitted on a 3.5 millimeter needle, which is a US4, and it's I didn't do a swatch. I just cast it on, figured the gauge of 22 stitches worked for me, and I thought that I could just try it on while I was knitting, and I knit exactly the rows that was written in the pattern, and the socks fits me perfectly. I just put it on my hand now, but I don't have a pretty sock something holder, but it works really good. The only thing that the pattern has kind of like something going on here with some increases, and I didn't knit those, I can't find in the pattern where it says that I should do it different. It was something like you should have put the increases here or something, instead of here, so the stitches would kind of turn this way, but it doesn't matter. At least I think it's kind of fun because the heel is kind of like going like this, following exactly the heel shape, and I also like the back, and it was so easy to knit. I was totally amazed. I could be hooked on this, and I just decided not to do but I don't know what you call it, the upper part here. I just wanted it to be a short sock. I'm gonna see if I can be able to take a picture of my foot with it on, because it just fits perfectly. And what's fun about it is it's got purl stitches on the bottom, so it looks like it's got like a sole to it. Yeah. So I'm actually working on the second one now, and I'm about halfway of that one. So, and it's actually a nice small project, so I might do some more of those small projects, because I get to finish something. Yes. And then I have this brand new design that I finished, my own design, and like, yeah, it's a bomber jacket. I'm just gonna pull it forward and tell about it. I'm actually a bit nervous to tell about it, because when I posted pictures of it, I immediately got some really nice responses, but I also got a response like, this is so gorgeous, be careful of the people who copy sweaters. And I was like, oh no, what does that mean? And I haven't really figured it totally out yet, but I want to do a pattern for this one. I really want to do a pattern for this one. It's so gorgeous. You can see it. I'm just gonna turn it around, and I filled in the sides here the Steven West way, and I really like the sleeves here, like with these moments of I call these the white, black, and neon for the main colors, and they kind of repeat themselves as stripes or diamonds, squares, or some stripe or two stripes or whatever. So I really like that. And this part here of the right front is exactly the same as the left back, so the colors are placed the same way. And there's a story to the colors, because you might think that these colors are very unusual for me, and yes, they are. They are very unusual to me. I was gifted a big bag of yarn, and while going through them and sorting it into different yarn weights, I collected this color palette, and I could see those could go well together, and they're like brown, and there's a beige here, and like a wine kind of pink here, all kind of colors I never knit with or buy, but I could see immediately that they could go well together, so I put them aside, and I thought that could go well as a pinguono, a design of Steven West. That's still one of the things I want to knit one day, is a pinguono. So it was laying there. I was like, this is not special enough for the pinguono. I want one that is really bright with bright colors, and this is not the color palette for that sweater. And then one day I was browsing Instagram, and I saw this ad of some rocks from Morocco. They called Azilal rocks, and I was looking through some pictures, and I put some here so you can see some of the pictures I fell for, and I was like, okay, I could do a sweater with this kind of type of pattern and the way the colors were put together. So I was really inspired. So the video is just stopped. So I saw these possibilities of knitting a sweater with these colors and these squares and lines, and from that on it went fast. I drew a pattern, a design on a sketchbook, and I was like, okay, I can use these yarns that I put aside. They would be great, and I have some neon colored yarn. I want to put that aside as well and use it for it. So yeah, so it's been a project that has had a lot of energy in it, and it's been really fun, and I'm over the moon over this design. I think it's gorgeous. I love it, and like the texture of it is a bit heavy, like a real jacket, and the fit is perfect and all good. So that's why I really want to be able to do a pattern for this one. Yes, but I'm gonna talk about that more in a moment. Yes, then I have also talked about my whips now, but then I am joining the Slipstravaganza mystery knit along of Steven West, which begins on this Friday. and I finally picked my yarns. Like, you know that I've started dyeing my yarns myself, so when he was announcing what yarns to use, I was like, okay, I'm gonna dye my own yarns for this project, and it has its possibilities, but also its disadvantages, I guess, because you can keep like, I want to do this better, or I want to have this color to be darker, or whatever. And so I used all my 2-ply high twist base trying to get the colors right for this project, but I finally did, and I'm so thrilled of it. And yeah, I posted some pictures last night on Instagram, but here you're gonna see the colors live. This is the main color. It's a multicolored dye, and maybe I should just put the inspiration picture up here on the left so you can see why I decided on these colors, because I wanted like purple and pink shawl, but with moments of mint colors or pinks and reds and so on. So I decided on doing a multicolored, so this is the one. And then for CC1, I will choose this one. It's a mint color, and this is actually a dye that I succeeded in doing a couple of times now, so I have a recipe for it. I'm really happy that I can repeat things. And I got some really good recommendations from 2 Danish podcasts. One is Henriette Hald from Strik og sludder, and one from Hanne her podcast is named Flammende pinde. And she's actually, the last one is actually knitting a sweater in this exact color. In her last podcast it looked more bluish, but it's more this color that you can see here on the screen. It's very minty, and with small speckles that just pops up, and moments of a little light blue in it too, or a little neon yellow. So this one is going in here, and the next CC is an orange, and this one is also my own dye, but for some reason there are some, it looks like it's dirty somewhere, and I don't know exactly why, but it's okay, or at least I have this one as a backup. I was told by Steven that the pattern says how much yarn is used of the CC in the different sections, so if I have enough of this yarn, I will probably just use it. I have a half of skein here, so there is also the option that for the orange CC that I have this dyed up, this orange mohair, so I could start by using this one when I find a section where it fits in, and then the orange mohair for the other parts where I need to knit with the number 2 CC. So that's the plan. And the third CC is the dark one. It's this really gorgeous purple that I just was the last one I dyed a couple of days ago. And look at this. It's got moments of, well, it's definitely bright purple, but got some more pink moments and some more blue moments, and even some blue speckles to it. But a mostly solid color, and that's gonna look gorgeous. I was in heaven when I was finishing this, because that's exactly what I was looking for. I had some other, I'm just gonna put one of these down because it's hard to hold. I had 2 other options for the third CC, and this is the 2. But this one wasn't really standing out, and it wasn't really solid enough for me, and I had dyed this like 5 times and it still didn't look the way I really wanted. I wanted like a really dark plum, but so this one is out. And then Steven said, what about this one? And this is kind of like a failure one to me. So it's not really a good one. So this one was out too, and you can see this one is much better. It's gonna be so good. And then he also did a challenge of putting in some other colors or doing leftovers. So I found this new yarn. It's a alpaca, brushed alpaca from a new yarn from a Danish dye called Chaos Yarn. And it's actually looking pretty right on the screen. And this one, whoops, this is a drops alpaca with silk. And then also have this light lavender, and this one is with speckles. It's from a Danish dye called by Killerish. It's got no, what did I say? Did I say speckles? I mean, there are some silver yarns in it, so bling, I need bling. So these are my yarns for the Slipstravaganza. See if I can arrange it here in my basket so you can see the whole thing here. So now I'm ready. I'm so excited. The only thing I didn't do is a lazy swatch, but I was actually thinking about doing one here. So we can do lazy swatches here. Isn't this a lazy swatch? So almost a lazy swatch. Yeah, so I'm so ready for this project. And my ambition this year is that I don't want to knit it too fast, because my learning experience from last year's Starflake knit along is that when you start seeing how people put together colors or yarn qualities, you get new ideas. At least that's what I did last year. So that's why I put mohair in section 2 of last year's knit along. So this time I'm not gonna be too quick starting knitting the shawl. I wanna like be more laid back and see what happens. And also this year I'm going to knit the shawl together with 2 girls from that doesn't live far away from me, and I'm really excited to be able to have a knit along, actually knit along with someone that I can sit and knit with. So we're gonna meet up during the knit along and knit it together. So I'm really excited about that. It's gonna be so much fun. Yes. So I think that was all my finished objects, whips, and future projects. So now I wanna talk about the giveaway. So the giveaway was that I wanted to reach 200 followers on YouTube. But since I started this knit along, a lot of new Danish knitting podcasters have started one too. So it's not to blame anyone, but it's really hard to like get the attention of viewers when there are so many knitting podcasters to watch. So it's like, who can yell the loudest? So I kind of had felt not so motivated for the podcast, because I felt that it was difficult to reach out to people. But at least I know the people that watch me now really enjoy my podcast, and I get really, really nice comments. So I just decided that's enough. So I'm just happy you're watching, and I decided to do the giveaway now, so you don't have to wait any longer for for the giveaway. So I'm giving away these 3 Addy needles, and it's from my own private collection, so it's not sponsored. And also I'm giving away a skein of my own hand-dyed yarn, and the winner will tell me her or his favorite color, and I will dye a yarn for him or her. So let's see who wins. I got this jar here, and I did the old-fashioned way, like when people was giving me a recommendation on Instagram. I put their name on a little note here, and there were no limits on how many recommendation you could give. So there are some in here that has more potential of winning than others, but that's how it is. So let's see here. Let's draw one. This is the one. Oh, I'm ripping it apart. So, see here. It's Linda Hjort Pedersen who has won this one, and I will give you I will contact you and tell you that you won. So congratulations! Yeah. So that was the giveaway. Yes. Let's see here what I'm going to talk about. Yes, this is like the second part of the podcast now. So you can stay put if you want to hear more about different knitting stuff or personal stuff and my future and some other things. So yes. First of all, I want to tell about that I went to the Flammende knitting festival, or it was cancelled because of the corona, but I had booked a summer house and my parents stayed in it all week, and my brother stayed also there, and then I went there for a couple of days, and my husband and kids came there, and I met up with a friend, which many of you know on Instagram. Her name is Rendboe, and we went to the southern city, Sønderho, and was walking around there, and then afterwards we went to Nordby to walk around there for a bit. And what happened is that the knitting festival was off, but a lot of different small companies had put up tents with their yarns in anyway, and there was also a small knitting cafe on Saturday that the knitting festival was having, but I didn't go there, but there was only like a room for 100 people or something like that, and well, there. Just because people had booked these summer houses on Flammende, there was just a lot of knitters. And I met the podcasters Hanne from Flammende pinde. I met Merete and Helle from løse ende. And then I met a designer. Her name is Natasja. Can't remember her last name, but her designer name is Moonstruck, and she's from Amsterdam, and she was meeting up with Ina, who I was walking with, my friend, because she was the designer was Natasja was coming to Flammende and was going to meet up with the testers that she works a lot with, and they were having a dinner together, and so they were meeting together, and I met them and met the designer. That was really fun. And then I heard that Fruity Knitting had been there and interviewing, but I hadn't seen those, and that was about what I saw, because the personal stuff will come along, but I was really exhausted by then, so I couldn't be part of it for longer. But I had some fun anyway, so that was good. And now I just saw the Fruity Knitting came out with their latest podcast, number 108, where they tell about the Fanny Knitting Festival and what they experienced there. So you might want to go and check that out. Yeah, so I think it was really sad the Fanny Festival was cancelled, but I still have the tickets because they want to plan the same festival for next year, with the same lectures and things like that. And one of the lectures I had bought tickets for was a Nancy Marchant lecture, a master class in her lace brioche knitting, and I was really excited to see that or be part of that. But so I hope next year that will happen, but there are some logistics that has to work out before then. So we'll see what happens. Yes, I better get to the personal stuff because I keep putting it off. But it's not like there's happened anything like tragedy or something like that, but it's been tough on me that I haven't been able to knit, and my hands have been hurting. And it was actually a good thing that I just started up doing the hand dyeing yarn. When I during the summer couldn't knit so much, I started to dye more yarns, and it's like, what? It's also a bit of a trouble to dye so much yarn when you look at all these beautiful yarns and you can't knit with it. So my husband was like, you need to sell the yarn so you can learn as much as you can from the dyeing, and just spend your time doing that, so I just don't sit in the couch and think about all the knitting projects I want to do, all the yarn I want to dye but cannot dye it because I can't knit, and so it's just like a bad circle for me. So and also I have this friend Connie that just opened a physical store, doesn't you call that? Anyway, her shop is called Yarn Forward DK, and she was like very supportive and saying that she wanted to try and sell the yarn that I couldn't manage to knit with. So I ended up dyeing a lot of yarn, and we put kits together, and of 3 skeins, and it happened so luckily that Stephen West had just announced knitting along, and then we were prepared with the 3 skeins kits that many of them could be used as the CCs for the shawl. So that came up, and they were sold like really quick. Like the first day there was 10 kits, and the first day I think she sold 6 or 7 of the kits. So that went really fast. So that was so much fun, and I can't believe it was people were so excited about it. That was really nice. And yeah, and I forgot to say that my daughter has also been involved, because I wanted, like, if you want to put your yarn out in a store, you want to have a label on it. So she helped me put a label on it. She made this really cool label for it, saying "hand dyed for you." It's like it's got these references for Prince, of course. He has this song "Die for You," and he also uses the numbers for instead of words a lot. So of course it had to look like this: "Hand dyed for you," and it has turned out to be more than just like, what do you say, like, it's not this video is not about me trying to sell my yarns. Don't misunderstand me. I'm just telling about what I experienced and what I've been doing over the summer. But yeah, well, people have started wanting more and more of my yarn, and so it works so well that if I don't have the yarn in stash and they've just seen like, oh, I saw this, could you dye this for me? And I go out and experiment if I can do a re-dye, and I learn a lot from doing that. And it's just a really fun challenge when people say, I want this, can you dye this for me? And it's like, oh, fun. So yeah, so it's really more than a brand now, this hand dyed for you, because I don't usually like have a lot of yarns in stock, you might say, because it's like on the fly, on the go, what I've been dyeing up and what people want, and yeah, so that's just how it works. But it's really fun, and especially it helps me my motivation for dyeing yarn, that I know that Connie wants it at her shop, so all the experiments I do, I know they can go there, and it's a professional dye, it's professional yarn, and it's as good as any other professional yarn, so it's not a bad yarn just because, or a bad dye just because I'm learning and experimenting. So, and yeah, so I can show you some of it. Let's see. This one is actually quite fun because it's got a lot of different moments to it. Difficult to show, but you can see kind of there's some more orange here and some more yellow here and some more light pink here, and that's kind of it's a solid dye in a way, but it's got a lot of different shades and speckles. This one was a 2-ply high twist, so you can see how the speckles lie kind of very dominant on the yarn in a way. And then this yarn is my deluxe merino, and yeah, the colors don't really show up really well, but you can see how the dye kind of floats more. And there are so many techniques into dyeing. It's so much fun because, like, if you want to re-dye too, just by having added a bit more water, the dye, or well, yeah, the dye will bleed more out in the yarn. And yeah, so it's really sometimes it's really difficult to re-dye the same color, and other times it's really easy. It kind of depends on how I've been doing it, but I'm learning all the time, and I'm having lots of fun doing it. But there's one thing I especially think is fun about dyeing yarn, because when I knit, it's like more colors, more craziness, the better. So and with dyeing yarn, it's the totally opposite. The less the better. It's like the more you stand there and put colors on it and wait and see what happens, the more it looks like a disaster. And that's kind of why I say this one is not as good, because this one, yeah, it's difficult to explain, but it's just, it gets too busy in a way that's not good enough for me, at least. So less is more when you're dyeing yarn. So for me, it's also a learning experience to tone myself down and not keep like adding colors. I'm just gonna place these again. Yeah. Then also I haven't been knitting so much, but I've been learning all these pretty yarns, and then something happened in my head that I haven't experienced before, and that's these quiet moments where I just sit and look at my yarn and don't knit. I start getting a lot of ideas of designs, and I've had a lot more ideas lately than I had in a long time. And actually, I had put aside doing my own designs for a while, at least doing patterns, because it's really a problem for me to sit down and write patterns and scale them into different sizes, because I can sit in front of a computer, but it exhausts me really a lot. So it's quite a big challenge for me to do patterns. And so I get all these ideas, and I can knit them, but some of it at least. And and I was like, at one point I was like, it's not enough that I try to replace my designing with dyeing yarn. That's not gonna satisfy me. I have so much creativity in me. I have so many ideas. I have so much drive. I just want to get it out. And it's not okay that I can't get this out. So I was like, how am I going to get the help I want? So I was considering this for a while, and actually thinking about putting a post on Instagram and asking out if there was someone who could help me. But then I remembered someone who might be able to help me, and that is when I went on a knitting course once, and the teacher there has been working for a design company years back called Eva and Cloudy, a Danish design brand, where she was constructing sweaters and like putting them out in different sizes, and like different processes was she involved in when they were designing knitwear. And I was like, okay, I could ask her if she would be able to help me. And so I contacted her, and we've had several talks and meetings, and going to meet again. And there's this issue that I can't hire her because I don't have any money. So I have to like ask her to help me doing this for free, and see if she can like find some motivation in helping me that helps her. Like if we can like have a win-win situation, that would be the best for both of us, I think. So that's kind of what we are trying to figure out, how we can work together, and she will get something out of it as well. But I think definitely she will be able to grade my designs into different sizes, and so that's a big help. And then we'll see how far that works. So I'm hopeful, cross everything I have, that it will work, and if it doesn't, I will be tremendously sad. But then I just have to find someone else, because I need to get my designs out there. I really, really need to get them out there now. I can't live with the thought of just gonna pause. My video stops after 30 minutes, so that's why I have to like make a small break. But I just have to get my designs out there. I just have to. So I don't want to promise anything, because that puts enormous pressure on myself, but I really wish I could promise that the cardigan behind me is coming out as a pattern. So let's crush everything. Toes, fingers, hair. I just have to get it out there. Yes. I think that was most of my personal stuff here. Yes. One moment. Cheers. Then something good has happened over the summer since the last time I have podcasted. I been featured in a blog post by a local yarn shop in Brighton, it's called @___yak. A funny Instagram name, but they were featuring a blog post about brioche knitting, and they were mentioning my Brioche sweater. So I was really happy about being mentioned there. Thank you so much. And then later on, Stephen West asked me if I wanted to be featured as the Westkntter of the world in his newsletter. And okay, that was crazy, I must say. I hadn't expected that at all, and I was so honored that he asked me. And the reason why I was surprised is that I changed so much in his design, and I mean, I think many designers actually want people to knit the designs as they are, but Stephen, he just gets inspired when people are like using his designs to go crazy or get inspired or do something a bit different. And so by asking me if I wanted to be featured as the Westkntter of the world was actually just an accept of me doing all these modifications, and I was really thankful. That was really amazing to have that accept from him. So thank you very much, Stephen, if you watch this. I also said thanks to him many times since. That was amazing, and it just shows how Stephen is, that he doesn't really, like, how do you explain? He's just so open-minded to creativity and colors and how you would do things. He doesn't put up a lot of rules, so it just makes it a lot more fun to knit, and the universe he's opened up for me is just amazing. Like, it is literally his doing that I am here where I am today, that I am so creative and I feel brave into knitting, and knitting with a lot of colors at least. So that's a lot of his doing that I'm here where I am. So I'm very thankful. So that is great. So I just wanted to mention that. The only thing is that his newsletters is not online anywhere, so if you didn't subscribe to the newsletter, you won't be able to read what he had put in it. But if you want to see it, I can forward you the mail, and you can just send me a private message with your email address, and I can forward you the mail so you can see it if you want to. Yes, and now we're almost at the end, but I usually have like recommendations before I leave, and this is kind of far back, but I did write it down for the next podcast, and it's still amazing. So I want to do this recommendation before I end this podcast today, and it's actually for crochet, but it doesn't really matter in this fiber community, I think, because we could get inspired a lot from this. But a while back, Christy Glass did an interview with a man from New York. His name is, or his artist name is Nassat Nation, and you must go and see this podcast. He's telling about his designs. He does a lot of bomber jackets, actually. This is not why I've been doing this, because I'm copying him, but when I was going through the agenda for today, I could just see a lot of similarities. But so that was actually so much fun. But that maybe just tells you that you always get inspired from something else, but you don't always know that where you get your inspiration from, because they are just ideas that build up and taken from a drawer somewhere in your bag, from something you have seen or experienced somewhere. But he does these really, really, really gorgeous crochet bomber jackets, and he was in the catwalk at Vogue Knitting Live in New York back in January, so he has been online and you may have seen him if you follow Vogue Knitting Live. But I will put in some pictures here so you can see what he does. And that's, you really gotta go and see his Instagram profile and scroll down a bit to find these catwalk pictures he's been doing. It's amazing work and really inspiring how you can get there and be so creative. So go check him out. Yes. And that's all I have for today, and actually didn't videotape for much more than an hour, so that's really lucky for once. I'm so relieved. So I will go and edit this and put it online. So yes, and thank you so much for watching, and if you liked what you saw this time, then give me a thumb up, and please also subscribe to my channel. I would really like that. And I can't promise you when there will be another episode. It just comes whenever I feel there's something to talk about and I have the time to do it. So that's just how it is to look at my podcast. But I hope you got inspired from today. And yes, please send me messages for any questions or anything you want to know. Oh, that's my cat sneezing. He's saying goodbye too. Have a really nice day. Bye.